came in the front this morning, you might have noticed some backpacks up here. And if you weren't aware, these are at least 12 of what will be 22 dignity bags that the youth of our program have assembled for Los Samaritanos. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what that is. Some time ago, the daughter of a local farm worker was at Walmart in Batavia when she encountered a man who needed help. He was from El Salvador and had just been released from the ICE detention center in Batavia. He spoke no English, and he didn't know the area. He was at the Walmart because he needed to pick up money from Western Union, which he'd arranged with his brother to send to him so that he'd have some money to buy a bus ticket so that he could go and meet his brother. What he didn't know was that the Western Union wasn't in a Walmart, it was at the Tops, and it was hard to communicate that. Thankfully, she spoke very good Spanish, and then took him over to the Tops. When they got to the Tops, they came to find out that you can't get money that's been wired to you from Western Union unless you have ID to identify yourself. And this man's ID had all been confiscated at the detention center and not been returned to him. Thankfully, they were able to call his brother and then arrange for the money to be wired to her. She could show her ID, get the money, and give it to the man so that he could finally buy the bus ticket to go to be with his brother. A few days later, she took him back to the Citgo station to wait for the Greyhound bus, and he called her several days later to let her know that he had arrived safely. Out of this encounter came the idea of the group that is now known as Los Samaritanos. People who are left to wait for a bus, being just dropped off there after being released from the detention center, frequently need practical help, reaching relatives, dealing with issues that have just been described. They might need a weather-appropriate coat or a meal. Often they are facing a several days bus ride with only the clothes on their back, and often without any ID. Only a paper of when they are next to appear or what to do next regarding their immigration status. The system created by Los Samaritanos looks like this. There's a sign in Spanish at the Citgo station across from the bus station asking if you need help, if you have what you need for your journey, with our phone number. That number connects to a cell phone number carried by someone who's fluent enough in Spanish to understand someone who is upset, understandably, and speaking quickly. When the call comes in, that person assesses the situation, what is needed, and sends one of the volunteer drivers who has the dignity bags with them to perhaps go and pick the person up. The drivers carry the dignity bags along with coats and whatever weather-appropriate outerwear might be needed. The bags that many of you have helped us to put together with your donations of items include snacks for the bus ride, a comb, a travel toothbrush and toothpaste, tissues, an envelope for papers, important papers, an empty reusable water bottle, a pair of warm socks, a hat and gloves, a packet of hand warmers, a small notebook and pen, $20, which is so much easier to use than anything else than just getting some food or making a phone call, and a note that says, "This backpack comes with a prayer for your well-being. You are not alone," in English and in Spanish. Now, when you are packing your bag for a day, or a day trip, or a long travel, it's important, I imagine. You have to think about all the things that you are going to need for your journey. And then, of course, you have to think about the things that you might need. You don't think you will, but you might, like, carrying an umbrella in case it might rain. And having that bag with you makes you feel so much more secure, like someone has your back. Now, for me, it's tissues, cough drops, chapstick, and pens. Those are the things that I rely on being in my backpack, that I don't think I'll need from day to day, but if I need them, gosh, I'm glad I have them. What are the other things that you're, glad that are in your bag? What's in your bag? A pen. Tylenol, Tums, Gas X. A nail file.
Mirror.
A mirror. A flashlight. Dog biscuits. Things that make life so much more pleasant, enjoyable, or, in a critical moment, life-saving practically. Can you imagine having nothing to start with? I'm so, what's the word, in awe that when we gave our children an option to vote on a social justice project, they wanted to put something together for someone who needed it, like for rain or for people released from the detention center. The idea of giving immigrants who are likely facing a long journey with little to rely on, something to give them that support, to have their back, and to let them know that we support them. The note says, this backpack comes with a prayer for your well-being. You are not alone. And at this time, we would love to instill in these bags, and all of your bags, this prayer. Now, unfortunately, I've heard from many of our children are sick today and can't be here. So we'll need your love to send to them too. And we're going to send our love into these little bits of yarn that can be tied on the bags that we send to Los Americanos, and that if you like, you can take one to tie onto your bag, to remember your faith community has your back. Won't you pray with me? Spirit of life and love, sometimes we really need some extra love and courage. We need that backpack full of support, knowing that we are not alone, especially when we need it most. We bless these backpacks to be sent to immigrants probably facing quite a journey ahead of them. And for all the bags and backpacks of our church community, for work bags and school bags and purses that we take with us, so that when we really need it, we not only can reach in and pull out a pen or a cough drop, but to pull out some extra love, some extra courage, and a reminder that we believe in the interdependent web of all existence, that we are not alone. Send that love and courage in your heart and ball it up for me, and give it to me right here. Need all your love and your courage. Excellent. Okay. Amen. And we will make sure to adhere these to the backpacks, and please help yourself to a ribbon. If you could use that little reminder to reach into your bag for some love and courage from our community when we need it too. Please join in our hymn of affirmation.